Appalachia is known for so many things, like its beautiful mountains, lovely people, and some of the finest cooking ever was. But monks and monasteries are not one of them. Abbeys are all over England and Switzerland and in many other places. In a little known town in Kentucky, there is an abbey and monks both. Strange, isn't it? Are they lost or something? Kentucky of all places. That just don't seem right. Where in the world did they come from? And who are they? And why Kentucky? Appalachia, the mountains, are like no other. From its rigid terrain, beautiful wildlife, to the people that live their lives here, to the strange, unexplained stories that folks share. Join me while I share this amazing place, one story at a time. The abbey's name is Our Lady of Gethsemani. The story begins in 1805 when a French Trappist from the Abbey of La Ville Saint traveled from Switzerland to Kentucky to meet Stephen Baldwin, the first Catholic priest ordained in the United States. Biden asked the monks to stay and become members of the Holy Cross Church, to which they did for 4 years. In 1809, a bad season of flooding sent them back to Switzerland. But in 1847, Abbot Dom Maxime of the Abbey of Mallory sent 2 monks back to Kentucky to buy land to build a new monastery. They met a bishop in Louisville who took them to the Sisters of Loretz, who had land for sale. They called the land Gethsemani. A deal was struck. October the 26th, 44 monks set out with their leader, Eutrophius Prost, to the United States. Sadly, 1 month passed crossing of the vast ocean. December 11th, 43 arrived in New Orleans, Louisiana. There, they boarded the Mississippi River boat, Martha Washington, making it to their destination December 21st. The group had a rough time at first. Their leader nearly died from pneumonia. He was so close to death, but then a miracle happened. Prost was given his last rites, but then suddenly he began to recover. Early 1849, the monks destroyed all the old cabins on their land to build a church, and then started planning on the monastery. Proust went to France during the summer of 1849 in search of funds to build their monastery. During this time, many of the states sent letters begging for the monastery to be built in their church group. But Prost simply refused. He wanted Gethsemani to be the place were the first ever United States monastery to be built. In 1851, the grounds were declared the Abbey of the New World. Proust became Dom Eutropius Proust, the first abbot of Gethsemani. October 1852, architect William Kelly designed this three-story monastery, modeled after the Abbey of Mallory. The foundation was made of limestone from Indiana. It was built with brick walls with timber roof supports. Inside was made of lath and plaster in the neo-Gothic styling. It had beautiful rectangular abbatial church steeple. Many members of the community aided in the construction in exchange for free schooling for their children. The place was a wonder to behold. Proust led the abbey until 1859, when he resigned. He left 65 monks and headed back to France to the Abbey of Mallory. Sadly, Proust would pass 13 years later in 1874. He served as the abbot of the Abbey of Trefont, very close to Rome, Italy. April the 19th, 1861, Benedict Beguer took over as abbot of the Abbey. Beguer was well known for his business sense and being diligent in his monks living an austere existence. He was also known for his generosity and kindness to the soldiers of both sides of the Civil War. He would often invite them in, feeding them, giving them fresh horses, and a nip at the jug as well. He was a Union sympathizer. In return, the army protected him and his monks. May the 1st, 1864, the Abbey began having public services led by priest Jerome Moyen. November the 15th, 1866, the Gethsemani Abbatial Church was blessed by Archbishop Purcell. Some years later, they were given control over the parish down the road. Dom Benedict founded a religious order for women ran by the Sisters of the Third Regulatory of St. Francis. To fund the abbey itself, land owned by the abbey was leased to local farmers, and a grain mill was built. In 1884, the abbey took a horrible blow. The grain mill burned to the ground, but luckily for them, they managed a big farm that was very productive. In 1885, a cowboy from Texas became the first lifelong American monk. In 1889, Beguer retired due to health reasons. He became confined to the Abbey's medical wing until his death in 1891. May the 9th, 1890, Dom Edward Chax Bourbons took over as abbot. He focused on caring for the boys' school operated at the Abbey, and he changed it to the Gethsemani College. Many applicants to the college came from Kentucky. Abbot Edward had new buildings built and hired Darnley Beaufort to be the principal. This would end in a horrible scandal. Beaufort claimed to be an aristocratic expert educator, but was a predator instead. He was convicted of sexual abuse in 1895. Abbot Edward knew of the abuse, but sadly did nothing. The scandal hit public view, and Abbot Edward submitted his resignation. For some reason unknown to me, it was denied 2 times before finally being accepted. He then moved to France. For 3 years, the abbey didn't have an abbot, but in 1898, Dom Edward Albrecht was elected as abbot. He served as abbot until his death. Today, 40 monks still live at the abbey. They meet with the visitors and leave the monastery for medical appointments and to handle business related to the abbey. They use folks from the community to maintain the abbey and staff the mail order phone center. And they still have Mass at 6:30 a.m. Monday through Saturday and 10:30 on Sunday in the chapel. An abbey and monastery and monks in the mountains of Kentucky. Who in the world would have ever thought of such a thing? But it exists. How neat is that? Well, folks, I want to thank you for sitting and listening to the story of Our Ladies of Gethsemani Monastery in the mountains of Kentucky. Appreciate you listening. I love you to pieces, and I'll see you next time.